Hey Cancers, how's it going? Welcome to your tarot reading where, as usual, we're probably going to end up talking about everything from, spirituality in your love life or your finances to historical facts, biology, psychology. If you're used to coming here, you know that I might throw out a random accent while I'm talking or sing in the middle of our tarot readings because I get a little quirky, but I do it by merging different aspects of science in with spirituality. I don't know who this is for, by the way, because I'm shuffling it out right in front of you. So we're going to find out together what this is about and who this is for. But if you think it's for you, welcome. If you think that it is not for you, then I might just be, coming across your screen here so that you can find another tarot reader out there in the world and get the right message, which I love. I love that aspect. It's like the butterfly effect. Okay, let's see what's going on in this reading. The patterns that I notice. Okay, you know what? The first pattern that I notice here is the Ten of Wands is sitting right next to the World card. The Ten of Wands. This is one of the most misunderstood cards in the entire tarot. Because whenever somebody sees the Ten of Wands, and on the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck, again, created by Arthur Edward Waite, it's a depiction of a man carrying 10 sticks, a huge, heavy bundle of sticks, trying to bring them to, well, wherever the Ten of Wands is trying to bring him, to his home, essentially. And when people see that heavy burden, the time that it takes to carry such a heavy burden, they forget that the insinuation of the Ten of Wands card is that you don't have to carry all of the heavy burdens you have in life. You can actually put some of those heavy burdens down. And notice I said some of those heavy burdens. This is the misinterpretation. When people get the Ten of Wands card, they think they have to put everything down. They think it means that they're in a relationship with a person and the whole relationship is just going to be put down. It's too heavy. People can't handle it. But the idea of the Ten of Wands is not just to put everything down. Although in your reading, it could mean that aspects of your relationship had to be put down, or aspects of a job had to be put down, or your finances, whatever goals you had in mind had to be put down. What it means is you put some of it down, and then you can come back to it at another point in time and pick up the pieces again. They were too heavy at a certain point. Doesn't mean it's over. It means you get to go back to a situation when you have the strength to pick up the heavy bundle, when you have the skill sets and the awareness and the knowledge of how to bring the rest of the pieces home. So the Ten of Wands, again, gets a really bad rep for being all about things ending too heavy, too much of a burden. And yes, there are aspects of that, but let me tell you, merge that with the World card sitting directly next to it, and you don't have everything ending. You have a situation, according to these cards, that yes, felt like you have to put it down temporarily, or felt like a relationship had to be put down, or even when it comes to education, it might have felt like you were dealing with education and did not pass and had to revisit your education. When the World card is here in the reversal position, it means you're returning to a situation. You are revisiting a situation. It may be difficult for some of you, though, to see this, to see the fact that your situation is not over yet, because on the face value, with the Ten of Wands energy, it looked like things had to be put down. But that was for a time, a reason, a season, a blessing, and a lesson. That's what the Four of Swords is all about. It's all about healing. It's all about time. But notice that the card depicts people with their eyes closed, right? They're sleeping. In esoteric and occult understanding, in Gnostic understanding, we're talking 2,000-year-old Coptic Christianity, OG Christians as an example, the kinds that the Catholic Church were like off with their head, back in the days of the Crusades, they would have looked at this card not just of healing, but as a state of ignorance. And again, guys, when you hear the word ignorance, you might automatically think, oh my God, I'm not being ignorant. Or you might think of your person like, why are they so ignorant? No. Ignorance is just a state of unawareness and has less to do with you being a bad person and more to do with you having to make your way to being able to realize something. It's not a bad thing all the time to be ignorant. You have children. Children can't see certain things until they are old enough to understand consciousness of it or the consequences of a situation. It doesn't mean you're going to look at a child who's ignorant to something and be like, why are you so ignorant? You're just not capable of things. Same with you guys, all right? You as adults, if you didn't pass something, if you didn't get the job that you wanted, if a relationship faltered, don't think of yourselves as, not capable. Like you can't have something, like you can't do it, like it's not possible for you. It is possible. It's just you're in an in-between state right now where things had to result in that rest and that sleepiness so that you can get to that point of wakefulness. Now, the Hierophant card is also here. We're going to get a little medieval on this one, okay? Let's bring out the factual historical information like I do in my readings. If you guys have ever got a private reading, like I said, I'm going to talk about the psychology, the history, the science behind things. And the Hierophant is one such card I love talking about in that level. Because the Hierophant, according to Arthur Edward Waite, the creator, the brainchild behind the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, most people miss that in the introduction of his book, he mentions, and he tries to drill home with the fact that tarot cards may be best suited as looked at through the lens of a group of people that were known as the Albigensians. And a lot of the people who were hanging around with Arthur Edward Waite did not necessarily want him to speak of tarot like this. And so further in his book, he described repetitively, and he asked his associates and his friends not to worry that he was giving this little truth. He said he was only going to give a little bit of the truth to the tarot. And he also reminded people that if more of the truth came out later on down the line, then that was going to be in the hands of the universe. And so this little egg, what do they call it? In video games, they call it a little Easter egg, right? He left a little Easter egg for people, and he used the High Priestess and the Hierophant card to describe this little Easter egg that he left. Now, who are the Albigensians? These are people from the medieval ages, 1200 AD, that the Catholic Church went on a crusade against. They went on a crusade against a lot of people, but this particular group of Albigensians was prominently spreading the idea that people should go against the Roman Catholic Church. These people believed in the divine feminine. They called her Sophia. It had very Gnostic, Neoplatonic Greek roots. If you've ever heard the expression of know thyself, these people heard that concept and grabbed hold of it, and the Catholic Church did not like that. So they crusaded against them. In one district alone, 20,000 people in the community were massacred. I'm talking brutality. And these people who were going against the Catholic Church, to them, and their stories of how the divine feminine was the one missing piece in Christianity that people were forgetting about, they believed that the energies of what could be considered the High Priestess card were meant to not be the partner of the Hierophant card, which a lot of modern tarot card readers you'll see online, they will say, the Hierophant and the High Priestess, they're consorts, they go together. But in fact, the way Arthur Edward Waite looked at it and the way the Albigensians could have understood it is that the High Priestess card, which is the card of your spiritual self within, was meant to tear away the Hierophant's power. The Hierophant, originally known as the Pope, right? It's a picture of a Pope on it on the original Rider-Waite-Smith deck, is the mouthpiece of the church in history. The mouthpiece of the empire, right? The empire was the Roman Empire, and the Pope, the Roman Catholic Church, was what was holding it all together. The reason that this is an interesting bit of factual history, that there was this Christian group who believed that the Hierophant or the Pope card should be torn down, essentially, or that they insinuated that the Pope should be torn down in real life, and now a tarot card has been created to mimic that story. The reason it's valuable for you is because when you have this card showing up, it means that there is some kind of a wall in your material view of things that needs to be torn down. That's why in this Hierophant card, he is looking at the key. The character who would be the Pope, he's got one eye covered. He can't see things clearly. He's looking at the key and he has no idea what the key to the truth is. He cannot see it. His eyes are closed. His one eye is closed and he's ignorant. And if you look at the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, you will see, or on any of the cards that typically reflect the card of the Pope, the key is never in his hand. The key to the truth is always sitting at his feet in front of the people that are on the card. And in the traditional Rider-Waite understanding of it, these crows are usually people, and the key sits in front of them, sits in front of the hands of the people. And the Pope is missing the concept. So again, there is a situation that you cannot see right now with how your world had to be put down. Remember, the Wands card is about things that are being created in the material world. It's kind of got a half pentacles vibe. The things that are happening in your outside world had to be put down. You can't see why. You have two cards of seeing why, but the cool energy towards this reading is you have the Sun card, which means at some point in the future, as quick as the waves of this water splash up upon the shore, you are going to see the answer, and you're going to see a path to a new horizon unfolding for you that resolves this situation. Actually, I just noticed over here, as I put the deck down, the bottom of the deck is the Three of Cups. You know what the Three of Cups reflects? Oh my God, even the card underneath it is brilliant. The Three of Cups is starting to look more like relationship energy, by the way, guys. But the Three of Cups is when you have a goal that you want to celebrate, like a marriage, like being together, or even like that celebratory moment when you signed off on your house, got a job. When it's in the reversal, which is the position it was just sitting in, it means you didn't get to hold that goal in your hand. You became separate from that particular goal that you wanted to celebrate. And with the Knight of Wands here, for a lot of you, it could be that you felt separate from a person. Somebody who did not necessarily want to commit. We've got the Knight of Wands. We've got the Queen of Wands. I also want to say, though, that when the Knight of Wands is not about a person, like a relationship that you had to put down, again, it talks about a goal. Because what does the Knight of Wands do? He goes after his goals. He charges forward because he knows exactly what he wants. And when he's committed to it, he gets it. There's really cool traditions that are found in the story of the Knight, the Page, and the King of Wands, again, in traditional Rider-Waite-Smith understandings, that talk about what happens when the appropriate Knight of Wands card turns into the King of Wands. He grows, and yours is in the upright, which means he's going to grow. The person you're dealing with or yourself is actually going to grow into an effective King of Wands because they're in the upright position. If you look at the King of Wands card, which I don't have in front of me right now, there is a chair that he's sitting on, and on like a throne. On the back of his throne are two lions. One at the top of the throne, and one is closer to the middle of his back. The one at the top of his throne is a heraldric lion that is not facing towards him. And by heraldric, I mean the images that show up on a coat of arms in history. There are certain lions that mean certain things on a coat of arms. And on the King of Wands, the lion that's at the top of the throne is in the position that's called the passant position. And that lion basically has his mouth open, his one paw is upwards, his tail is curved up. But the lion himself is not facing towards the King of Wands. He's actually facing the back of the King of Wands. He's facing away, which means he can be very aware and protective of the things that have happened in the past that he doesn't want to have hurt him again. So this could be you, this could be your person with that Knight of Wands, King of Wands energy. They could be kind of guarded about the things that have happened in the past. And on the bottom of the King of Wands chair is a heraldry coat of arms type lion that's called the rampant lion. which means it's standing up on its hind legs, ready to attack in the picture of the lion on the throne. His arms are outright, his mouth is open, but he's on his hind legs. And he's facing towards the king now in this picture, if I had the King of Wands out in front of you, which means he is ready to attack if he needs to. That's the thing about the Knight of Wands that turns later on into the King of Wands. Very passionate, very willing to commit to you. Will come around in this energy, gets what he wants. And if it's a goal or a job, he gets what he wants. This is your energy here. You get what you want. But you do it from a position of being very aware of how, like, ready you have to be to go into action. Imagine being a king. What does a king have to do? Imagine being a knight on the battlefield like we just saw. Imagine being this knight. What do you think he has to do? He has to be ready to protect all of a sudden, and he has to be ready to run onto the battlefield and go after what he wants. And that's why I say that in the upright position, this is somebody who will go for what they want and achieve it. If this is a person you're dealing with, they will go for you and they will achieve what they want. If this is you trying to get a job, you will go for it and you will achieve what you're looking to get. And the path will swiftly be open for you. I also want you to take a look for a second at the Five of Swords here, because the Five of Swords energy mimics the kind of energy that we just spoke about. Remember how I said one of the lions on the King of Wands, who the Knight of Wands turns into, one of the lions on his throne is facing away from him because it is talking about how he has to protect himself by looking at the things from the past. This is the same energy. The Five of Swords here tells me that there was a difficulty that you had, that you keep looking back on, how much it sucked, how much of a loss you had to take, or a feeling of a battle that had to occur. Now, the Five of Swords, they use this information. When you had to go through a difficulty in the past, you use that information and you integrate it into yourself. Now we're going to get into Carl Jungian psychology, because this is the way biologically humans function. Period, plain and simple. The brain of the human, no matter what human, is a brain that acts on what is called a neuroplastic basis. Say that 5 times fast, guys. Neuroplasticity, which means every time you experience something, new parts of the brain, new neurons of your brain fuse and connect together the more that you practice something. I mean, look at what it took for you to, by the way, what I'm about to say is going to help you forgive certain aspects of yourself and of your experiences. But if you look at a baby, how many times do you think it had to fail at saying the word dada before it finally put together actually saying the words? Or how many times did a child who's learning to walk have to fall over first in order for the muscles and the coordination to function for it to be able to walk? It didn't just stand up and walk, right? You know, if I want to swim, I got to sink first, don't I? You got to sink in order to swim. If I wanted to ride a bike, you have to fall off the bike first, don't you? So I know failure seems like this moment where we say to ourselves, oh my God, why am I so incapable? Why did this mess up? I keep looking back on all the failure here. But realistically, that is the only way that humans function. Again, you have to sink in order to learn how to swim. You have to fall off the bike first. It's the only way humans function. So when you ask yourself, why did you make a mistake, or why did your person make a mistake? Quite frankly, it's because that's what they're supposed to do. You can't escape it. The way the human brain works like that it wires itself, the more that you spell the word today means that it gets easier after a point of time. That is how we function. We can't expect ourselves to be perfect, and we can't expect the other person to be perfect. That's why I come back full circle to the idea of the Ten of Wands, that sometimes when things get heavy, you have to come back to it later. Sometimes when you learn to swim and you're really exhausted because you sucked at doing it for the first hour, you have to get out of the water for a little bit, go have a peanut butter sandwich when you're a kid, and then come back around and you learn to do it the second time. Or you get back on the bike the second time. This is your key. Your situation you're dealing with is not over, guys. right? The Queen of Wands is here. That lets me know that you are going to stand in the comfort of what you want. But what you're going to need to do, though, with the Queen of Pentacles in the reversal is you need to not beat yourself up for this situation. Queen of Pentacles and King of Pentacles, when they're in the reversal, Arthur Edward Waite in 1910 spoke about them as being sometimes so cranky that they can come off as evil. That doesn't mean that they are Ed Gein evil. They're not Texas Chainsaw evil. But if you're talking to yourself in your own mind in a negative way, there's a disservice that you're doing to your own body and your own mind. The mind and the body that have been carrying you around your whole life, that have been there for you every step of the way. And it also means that you could, or your person would have to go through a phase of lessening up on the negative concepts of how they get in their head towards other people or towards you. The Queen and the King of Pentacles, remember, they are the energies of groundedness. They're the masters of groundedness. So when they're in the reversal, what do? They get in their head. Again, especially difficult if they can't see a situation clearly for what is going to become, and they keep looking back on a situation that was really heavy. They end up being too in their head. So, my dears, whether it's a job, whether it is a pentacle, or whether it is romance, I'm getting constantly in this reading, I keep going back between two energies. I feel like we could do a reading here where we're like, oh, this is a love reading, but this feels like both. This feels like some of you are going to be looking at this like you had a romance situation that fell through, and others of you had a goal that fell through. I keep looking at it like that, but whatever it is for you, whatever is showing up in your three-dimensional experience, in your material world around you, in the field, the quantum field around you, if you want to get a field theory, I'll go all day on that, right? But whatever is showing up for you, it's not over yet. There's going to be a path opening up for you. And it's a winning path, by the way. Sun card, whether it's in the upright or the reversal, is the best omen you can get in the entire tarot card deck. It means answers, clarity, and a path to success is going to open up for you. So with that being said, I will leave you off with that. And if you're ever interested in a private reading where we go all out like this, then feel free to get a hold of me. I do same-day readings for $20, which means the day that you order a reading is the same day that I can send you your reading back. Or I do monthly readings, which means that we can look at like the next 6 months or the next 12 months. You want to know when you're moving? We can find out which month. You want to know when you get that job? We can find out which month. Things like that, right? Or if you don't want a reading at all, feel free to join me on Instagram. I'm a mom of 3 kids on my own, which means I don't have adults to talk to much. If you ever want to just chat, I love to have some adult conversation. I say that at the end of every reading. Maybe I'm pleading for the adult conversation and adult interaction at the end of this video. I'm making it known. Talk to me, people. Join me on Instagram because that's where I post. That's where I chat. You're more than welcome to send me fun facts, information all day, and I will chat back with you about whatever's going on in the day. All right. Blessings to you guys. Thank you very much for joining me. I will talk to you guys later. Ciao for now.